Hello everyone, it's Maha. Thank you for being here. Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to just share some little practices that I do every day to bring a sense of magic into my life and connect with planetary energies. And I thought that I would share this with you, and I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope it inspires you. And I would love to hear if you feel like sharing what kinds of little rituals or practices you incorporate into your daily life that help you connect with a sense of magic. So one of the first things I do when I wake up in the morning is drink my herbal teas. Now, I've only started doing this recently. I've incorporated into my daily routine. And initially, I was looking for some different herbs that would bring different properties, medicinal and healing properties for my body. And I thought, to make it more interesting, to make it more magical, what I will do is get herbs that linked to different planets, and on different days of the week, drink the corresponding herbal tea, the corresponding tea to the planet of the day. So for example, for Monday, I'm using sage, which corresponds to the moon. And on Tuesday, I drink nettles. Nettles correspond to Mars for Mars Day, Tuesday. Wednesday is Mercury, and I've selected alfalfa. Even though alfalfa is not always corresponding to the moon, Mercury, I selected that one because I needed specific herbs for different reasons, for different bodily healing and health in general. And I kind of wanted to select the ones that go with different days. So for Mercury, I picked alfalfa. For Thursday, Jupiter, horsetail. And for Friday, I picked red raspberry, which is Venus. And Saturday, comfrey leaf. Sunday, I have calendula. Now there are others, of course, and you can select what you need for your own needs if you want to do something like this. I initially was doing a lot of research on specific minerals that I needed in my diet that I felt I needed more of, and some which I was lacking. So I narrowed it down to the ones that I needed, and I chose the herbs that went with the days of the week. So I just had this idea that I'm going to drink this every morning. That's how I connect with the planetary energy of the day. So what I do is the night before, I steep the tea in warm water. So what I do is I boil the water and then I let it sit for about a minute. Don't want it too hot because then it's going to kill all the minerals and the good nutritional values of the herb. So I let that sit overnight, so I get this really nice heavy infusion of the herb, and I put quite a lot in there. So that's how I begin my day, just kind of saying hello to the planetary energy. And then I go to my altar, which is right in the corner there in my living room. And the first thing I like to do is to bring my crystals that I've kind of kept with me during the night. I like to sleep with my crystals, have them on my body or have them near me under my pillow. So I take my crystals and I bring them to my altar over there and I clear them. I light one of these, my favorite smudge sticks that I made this myself. It's rosemary and lavender. That's to me, it's my favorite combination because rosemary itself is very cleansing, and I find it's just perfect because it's not too strong. It's just beautiful. It has a beautiful scent, and I put lavender in the middle, so it kind of softens that little sharpness that rosemary tends to have sometimes. And I just love how this smells. So I kind of clear the energy of myself. I clear my crystals. I clear the altar. Sometimes I take this around the room. And I have another one right here that my mom just made. This is from my mom's garden, by the way, the rosemary and the lavender. And it just smells so nice. This is fresh, so I'm leaving that for later to dry. And that's what I do. Rosemary is just one of my favorite herbs to use as an incense, sort of like a dry, my favorite dry herb to use as an incense. So I do that on my altar, and I just kind of connect. I have my oracle decks on there that I've set out that I work with throughout the month or longer. Right now there is the Mythic Oracle on there, the Greek mythology reading cards, which is sort of a fairly recent deck for me. And you know, I actually had no idea how connected I would be to this deck. Like, this deck is giving me, so far, all the readings with this deck have been so accurate, so insightful, so rich with symbolism, and just really spot on. And I remember in the past, I've heard people talk about decks that gave them really accurate readings, and I was always a little uneasy about the word accurate in relationship to oracle cards and tarot in general, because I thought that accurate is a very left brain type of language. But I understand now what I guess that meant, because really, I think when you connect with a deck on a deep level, like when you connect with the images of the deck, when you connect with something about the deck, when you really feel that it speaks to your soul, then the readings do become really spot on and really synchronistic and really in alignment with your life, and sort of just resonate with you on a very deep level. And that's how I've been feeling with this Greek mythology reading cards that I've been using every day, getting so much messages and richness from them. So that's one of the ones, my favorite ones right now on my altar. And then I have the other one that I'm using is the Mystic Fairy Tarot, which I shared in another video. I'm still getting to know that deck, still really enjoying it and learning from it. And I also have the Druidcraft, because I'm getting ready for this course that I'll be doing coming up on the Druidcraft Tarot, which I talked about in one of my earlier videos. And I also have the Star Tarot there, so that's another one that I'm reading the guidebook, learning from it, and we'll talk about that more in another video. So that's what I do. I just flip through my cards, I light my rosemary and lavender, cleanse my crystals of the night, let them sit there. And then I also sometimes like to apply a little bit of my perfume, which is on that altar. And I've showed you this before. It was in this little bottle, but now, back then I put rose oil in it for my love altar, and now I've changed it, and I have this beautiful scent, which is jasmine and musk, but it's musk mallow, so it's from the mallow plant, the seeds of the mallow plant, and this combination is just so heavenly. So sometimes I just want to kind of be lifted up, connecting with spirit. That's one way I love to bring magic into my daily life, is also through perfume. And I like to make my own perfume. I've talked about it in many other videos. What I like to do, which makes it feel, just gives it that little touch of magic, is to find perfume bottles that are vintage, maybe from secondhand shops, thrift stores, and I found quite a few really, really beautiful ones. My favorite one is this one I got from Salvation Army that reminds me of my trip to Morocco. And having these beautiful containers, vessels to put the perfume in, it just adds more enchantment to it. It just makes me feel, brings a sense of magic, more magic into it. And to me, perfumes can be really a magical experience. I've been really learning more about how to blend perfumes. And so in this bottle, this favorite bottle that I just showed you, in this one I have made a perfume with vodka 40% base as a dilution base, and then I put in several drops of the essential oil of sandalwood and mitti, M-I-T-T-I, which is a very interesting blend of sandalwood and and earth, basically, like clay. Can you imagine that? It's distilled clay blended with sandalwood, and it just smells like heavenly earth. And I love that one. The perfume itself had to go into a special perfume bottle, so that kind of worked with me. And so yeah, that's another way that I connect with, that I bring magic to my life, is really through scent. I feel that scent is really magical, and there's so much to explore, you know, with our olfactory system, so much that we don't know, and so much we don't use. So another way that I like to bring magic into my daily life is just, speaking of containers, is I have this rosemary in the corner behind me. I'll do a close-up of it. This bunch of rosemary, dried rosemary, in a bowl that I got again from Salvation Army, and this bowl is from Greece, and it has all the Greek gods all around it. Displays the Greek gods, and I got rosemary in there, and I like to sometimes use that as an incense in my little cauldron there, with lavender, rose petals, and lemon balm, dried lemon balm, and dried basil, which is great for the throat chakra. I like to burn some of that at night, and that bowl itself just makes me feel like I'm connecting with an ancient part of the world, ancient history. And because I personally just really connect to the Greek pantheon in a deep way, that speaks to me, speaks to my soul. And that container is sort of, I have this thing about containers and boxes. To me, boxes and containers feel really just magical. I don't know what it is about them, and I will talk about this in another video about my connection with boxes. I have a huge collection of boxes. Boxes just give me this feeling that, you know, there's like a treasure in there, probably where my channel name comes from too, and I'll talk about that too in another video coming up. But I put my crystals all around my place. I have boxes everywhere, and I put crystals in there, some little rose petals, or, you know, essential oils, sometimes blends that I make. I have a Palo Santo essential oil blend that's sitting in a box on my altar. And then I just have a bunch of little boxes all around with shells inside. I wish I could show you them all, but one day maybe. And so back to that container behind me, another thing I like to do is to put my crystals, after I cleanse them, and rest them on top of this bowl of rosemary. Just because I feel like that's something I was guided to do that helps to keep the crystals cleansed. And it just, you know, the rosemary to me is just very cleansing. It has a lot of healing and cleansing properties as well, medicinally. And I just get that really putting the crystals on the rosemary helps them to stay clear. And throughout the day, I mean, when I first begin my day, I like to also select a jewelry, crystal jewelry. I have I have an obsession with jewelry, everybody, and I will make another video about jewelry magic, but I do love to wear crystal jewelry, and I tend to go again with the theme of the day. So if it's Mars Day, if it's Tuesday and I'm drinking my nettles, and then I pick a stone or crystal that represents the energy of Mars. Sometime I might take my astrology cards and put a card on my altar of Mars, and I wear the crystal throughout the day. So it doesn't always have to work with the planetary energy. Sometimes I might feel for a certain reason I need a certain crystal's energy, so I'll gravitate towards that and wear that. I have crystal bracelets that I wear, necklaces. Usually necklace and bracelets is my favorite. Sometimes pendants. So that's another way, is through crystal jewelry. And then finally, I go by the moon phases. I have a lunar calendar. So my calendar is not solar, lunar. I follow the lunar calendar, and I like to just follow the phases of the moon and kind of plan my days a little bit, not too much, not too rigidly, but a little bit by the phases of the moon. So for example, a simple practice that I like to incorporate in every month, not every month, every 3 months, so every season. So the beginning of the season, the first day of the season, I look at the phase of the moon and I wait for the waxing phase, and that's when I trim a little bit of my hair. So I like to keep my hair healthy. It's very long, and I know that maybe many of you also already know this, that if you cut the hair, traditionally women used to cut their hair at the waxing stage of the moon because it grows better. And of course, as you know, the waxing phase is for growth, to bring things that we want to grow. So I do that. That's just a simple practice. But you know, these simple practices I find are very effective because they're not complicated, because they're simple. And sometimes when things are too complicated, I won't do them because I just want simple things. And that's just one simple thing that I do, one way I connect with the waxing stage of the moon. And then of course the full moon is really magical, and I like to set all my crystals around the windowsills and just to charge them or keep them outside in the balcony if possible. And if it rains, when it rains, I like to collect some moon water as well and charge that on the full moon. So that's all I'm going to share. Just didn't want to talk too much. I do want to make another video about the lunar phases, and as I'm learning astrologically what they mean, I like to make a video and talk more about that and more about the practices of working with the different phases of the moon and how also that connects to tarot, because I'm finding that really interesting right now. So I would love to hear about some of your simple practices and daily rituals. Please let me know in the comment section. I would love to hear from you as always. And until next time, I'm sending you lots of love and many blessings. See you in the next video. Bye.